To join us. I'm Diane Cook, the owner and principal travel designer of Seven Seas to Sea Travel, a proud member of the Chamber for many years and a past president and board member myself. And of course, we have Brock and Gracie from the Chamber joining us, and our special guest, Hector from Colette Vacations, who's going to walk us through what this fantastic experience is going to be like for our group. So you just settle back, relax. I hope you have a beverage of your choice there with you. If you have a burning question for something that you are seeing on a slide or right in the moment, you can put it in the chat box and we'll be monitoring that. If it is something that Hector can maybe answer immediately, otherwise we'll save the questions for the end for a Q&A. And if you are watching this after our live presentation here, please don't hesitate to send a question to myself or Brock or Gracie, and we will be sure to get you the answer. So Hector, I hope you're ready, and we look forward to learning all about Scotland with you.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Diane and Brock, for arranging this event. We were trying to do this live, as Diane knows, but however, we didn't get too many people responded. So plan B is virtual. Back to the COVID days, Diane, right? Like it was all virtual
Yes,
back
that's right. Yeah.
a few years ago. Anyways, my name is Hector. I'm the sales manager for Colette Tours. And I'm excited to talk about Scotland today. I'm not sure who's been to Scotland before from the audience right now, but I've been there twice, and it's one of my favorite destinations to Europe. It's just so beautiful. I mean, you can see the picture right now, highlands and islands, and the people are so friendly. The food is amazing, right? And there's just so much to see and do while in Scotland. So like that Diane mentioned, this is we're holding a group to the Chamber of Commerce for exactly next year. And this tour is between April 4 and 13 of next year. And let's get on it. A little bit about Colette. Colette is a very old company established in 1918. If you're good in math and numbers, Diane, this is 107 years exactly. So it's a well-respected, very old company. And as you can see on the bottom, we do cover 7 continents. So obviously today's talk will be about Scotland, and we are pioneers for European travel. We have lots of tours in Europe, but also we have amazing tours to Asia, Africa, South America, Australia, New Zealand, you name it, all 7 continents, 107 different tours. So big portfolio. But again, today's talk will be on Scotland alone. I'd like to start with a little quote that I've heard some time ago, and I'd like to share with my fellow travelers. I always like different travel quotes. So I'm going to start with the quote and I'm going to end with the quote. I think you're going to like this. There are reasons why we travel. And this is the quote, it's about that. And there's interesting, I think some people can relate. So why do we travel? Number 1, when something good happens, travel to celebrate. If something bad happens, travel to forget. And if nothing happens, travel to make something happen. There you go. So doesn't matter the reason, there is no bad reason to travel, Diane, right? So there's always, why we travel. I don't know. I'm sure, Diane, you've been traveling probably, many years. So have I. I've been traveling for over 30 years. And to me, travel is, exploring different places, see how people live, right? See the culture, the customs, right? How they dress, what they eat, what they drink. I'm just curious, right? I have a big world map. I was referring to Diane's world map at the back of your screensaver, that I have 2 maps in a basement. And one of them, I have a big world map with the push pins in them. And all the places I've been to, I put like different color per push pin, right? So when I have people over, they always like, oh, Hector, you've been to Japan. Oh, you've been to Africa. Tell me about it, right? So it's great conversational piece, right? When you have that. So, travel is in my blood. I'm sure Diane's too as well. And I cannot wait to see other places as well. Anyways, so this is one of the quotes, and I'm gonna finish with the quote as well, different one, of course. quick overview, tour at a glance. Again, I like maps. I know Diane likes maps too, and this is no exception, of course. I start my presentations with the map. So this tour starts in Glasgow. I don't know if you can see it, how big your screens are or whatnot, but you can see the little plane landing in Glasgow. Okay. So this is when we're going to be arriving. And the black dots with numbers on them, what it means, those are your overnights. Okay. So as you can see in Glasgow, we're going to have one night. Then in Ballachulish, we're going to have 2 nights. In Thurso, we're going to have 2 nights. In Inverness, and then we're going to end up in Edinburgh for 2 nights. And then the plane is taken off. Okay. So this is your itinerary. And also you will see on this map little white dots like Lomond, Loch Ness, Isle of Skye. What those means that there's no number on it, so there's no overnight. However, there's something of interest, right? So there is a sightseeing stop, right? Could be for 2 or 3, maybe hours, right? Depending of the importance of the site. But that's what it means, right? That we actually stop there and we have a sightseeing, guided tour included in those places. Okay. So beautiful itinerary, all the must-see places. Like I said, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Inverness in the Highlands, Loch Ness. Of course, we gotta see the Loch Ness to try to see, if you get lucky and see spot the Nessie, right? The Loch Ness monster. Good luck with that, by the way. People have been looking for it for over 50 years, Diane. And what's nice about this itinerary, we're gonna visit a couple of islands. So on the left-hand side, you can see just next to Loch Ness is Isle of Skye, very famous. So we're gonna take a ferry and we're gonna visit the Isle of Skye a couple of hours, right? And also up north, just north of Thurso, when you can see on the top of the map, we're gonna visit Orkney Islands for half a day. And this is like really remote and really off the beaten path. Not too many companies go there, right? But we thought, it's important because there's something of significance. There's lots of history on Orkney Islands. Okay, so that's why this is a beautiful itinerary, all the must see, and then some of the beaten path as well. So you have a little bit of everything. All right. So let's keep going. So we arrived into Glasgow. It's a big city, but it's not the capital city. People think Glasgow is the capital city. It's not. It's actually Edinburgh is the capital of Scotland. Okay. So we're gonna arrive there. When you arrive at the airport, just so you know, you'll be met by our tour guide, and they will be taking you, the transfer will be included to the hotel in Glasgow. Okay. So this is very important that, that's why, when you book everything with us, and I'm going to talk about it at the end, the logistics, traveling with Colette, that when you arrive, you just look for, our Colette rep, and they will take you from the airport to the hotel. So you don't have to worry about taxis and Ubers, trains, buses, whatever. Okay, so Glasgow, it's a port city, a beautiful place. Of course, why you going to Scotland? Because you want to see the pipers, right? Obviously, bagpipers. And there's no exception in Glasgow. They have a beautiful national piping center, so we will visit them with our local guides. I keep referring to our guides. There's a couple of different ones before I go any further. So number one, any Colette tour, if you haven't been with us, if you haven't traveled with us before, we call them the person that's in charge of the whole group. We call them tour managers. Okay, so they are in charge of everything. They are in charge of make sure that the hotels, right, are there, right? That they, if we go for dinners, the restaurants, sightseeing programs, our motor coach, right? So all those logistics, they are looked after, right? So they're called tour managers. And also in each place that we visit, like Glasgow, Inverness, Edinburgh, when we have the sightseeing tours, we also gonna have local guides included. So those local guides, they are, probably, were born and, live in all those places. They know ins and outs, right, of those places. They will take you to some of the beaten places as well. And they are, they're gonna make the tour alive. Right? Because all the stories and everything that goes behind it. So tour manager is person in charge of the whole group, and then in individual cities we're going to call them tour guides. Okay, so when we have a national piping center, of course the local guide will show you around, explain the history behind the bagpipers and whatnot. Whenever you travel with Colette, we always try to have the welcome dinner for you. And it's just not just any dinner. We try to have those dinners at the local restaurants. Okay, so this is, very important to us because it, makes it, so much nicer, so much more authentic, if you will, right? Not just eating at a hotel, right? Yes, our breakfast, you're going to have included breakfast every day. It's going to be at the hotel because it's going to be quick. It's going to be probably a buffet, so you can pick whatever you wanted, right? And then off you go. But dinners, when we have dinners included, we try to get you outside hotel, right? So it's more hands-on experience, more local flavor, if you will. So this is no exception. In Glasgow, you're going to have a welcome dinner as well. After Glasgow, we're going to travel north, if you remember the map, right? Everything is north from Glasgow or east. We're going to visit a little bay called Oban, right? And this is the gateway to the islands, right? All the isles. And this is where, it's a beautiful, charming little port town. And this is where we're going to take a ferry, right? To go to onto the Isle of Skye, like I was showing you on the map. Whenever you see this little sign in the middle, you see like it's either left or right. You're going to have a choice. This is already included sightseeing program. You will just are going to have a choice. So on the left, you will see it's Magek Tower, right? Or, you can do the Donnelly Museum, Castle and Grounds, right? Unfortunately, you cannot do them both because it takes place at the same time. Okay, so the tour manager probably a day before will explain it. Okay, this is what's happening tomorrow, and you will have those two choices, and he will explain more, right? How long it is, what importance, of it, the history a little bit. So then you can make a, proper choice, if you will. Okay, I usually joke around, Diane, that whenever people, go on those and they see this, like, okay, should I go do this and that? I usually joke around that this is a perfect opportunity for husband and wife to separate for a couple of hours. Like, okay, you do the tower, I'll do the castle. Okay, I'll see you in 3 hours, right? Because maybe I had already enough of you, right? So it's always a good, a conversational piece, right? When there's couples traveling, it's like, okay, you do this, then we can exchange the pictures, right? And see how it is, right? So this is what it means. Again, you don't have to decide now, right? Normally the tour manager will talk about it the day before, okay? Moving on, lovely Loch Linnhe, right? So lochs, obviously, it's lakes, right? In Gaelic, because that's a local language, right? It's not Scottish, it's Gaelic, really, and a lot of people still speak that in Ireland and Scotland as well as parts of Nova Scotia as well. I am right. I don't know if you've been to Cape Breton at all. They know it's still very. That's why it's called New Scotland, right? Like all those Scottish settlers, right, came back in the day. Anyway, so a lovely Loch Linnhe, right? And all those, so you go and so you're gonna have a lot of lochs, so a lot of lakes and highlands as well. So the scenery, it's absolutely breathtaking, just like in the picture, right? Like this is a nice sunset over that loch, right? Then we're gonna take a quick ferry, takes about 45 minutes to the Isle of Skye. Okay. So obviously this is all arranged, like all those tickets it's all arranged, right? And then and the Isle of Skye is a little bit remote, obviously because it's an island, right? So not too many towns there. There's a couple of towns as well, but obviously you will see a lot of wildlife like this one here, in the Isle of Skye. The capital, it's Portree, right? That's all Isle of Skye. So very picturesque, right on the water. You can see the little, mountains behind as well. So very very lovely, fishing village. And this is the capital. But again, even though it's the capital, it's very small because that's how it is, right? Once you're outside Glasgow and Edinburgh, those towns are not very big, right? So we're going to have a nice little walking tour, and that will give you free time as well to explore. And this is the beauty of traveling, Diane, with Colette. So we try to have this really perfect balance between, included sightseeing program with the guide, right? And also the free time, because, you don't want to go with a group, for 8 hours, because then it's going to be too tiresome and too busy maybe. But then at the same time, like you don't want to be left alone for 8 hours. Like, well, what am I doing now? So we just try to perfect this, balance, right? What's included and what's not. And there's just no exception, right? Scotland or any other tour with Colette that we offer, that you will see that will give you lots of free time to explore as well and take pictures and whatnot, right? Look how beautiful Isle of Skye is. Absolutely stunning. That rugged terrain, right? Obviously, lakes, little lakes, and then mountains, but very rugged because it's right on the Atlantic coast, right? So obviously, it's and it can get pretty windy there as well because obviously you're open to the water. So I always tell people to bring windbreakers, right? Just like when you go anywhere in the British Isles, Diane, right? Like obviously dress in layers, right? Look at this another picture, right? So very, very tranquil, right? And obviously you're gonna see a lot of farmland as well, because it's very green as well. So a lot of sheep and cows, of course, but very, very picturesque, right? Then back on the mainland, and towards Loch Ness, and we're gonna visit the ruins of this beautiful Urquhart Castle, right? So it's right on the Loch Ness. So they will explain the significance of this castle, right on the lake. And then maybe take a peek. Maybe you'll get lucky and see Nessie, right? Again, people have been searching for it for decades, right? And nothing yet. So who knows, right? Who knows, right? So it's a good legend, right? So the tour guide will tell you a good story about it. I don't want to spoil it right now. And we actually gonna not only see it from the side, Loch Ness, on land, but we're actually gonna take a little cruise on the lake, right? So it's so it will give you different perspective, right? So people like it, so the cruise is not very long. It's probably just about an hour because the lake is not that huge, right? But it will give you different perspective, right, of the surrounding areas, and you will see a couple of other castles as well on the way because they like to build them along the lochs as well, right? So keep your eyes open for Nessie. Then on up north, right? So we're gonna go towards Thurlow, like I told you, like when you look at the map, if you remember that. So this is like very top of Scotland, right? And then from Thurlow, we're gonna go take a ferry to Orkney Islands, and this is like really, really north, right? So this is very up, up there off the beaten path. Not too many tour companies go there, right? And this was a very important Viking stronghold back in the day, right? Because obviously the Vikings, were everywhere in the British Isles back in the day when they were obviously discovering, right, Europe and beyond. And I mentioned that Orkney, it's very historical, not only because of the Viking presence, but also there's a big significance of the World War II. There was actually there was a lot of prisoners of war, but they were not Germans. They were actually Italian, because Italians were part of German axis of evil, if you will, right? So they were actually stationed in Orkney Islands because they couldn't go unless you swim somewhere. But good luck with that. So it's sort of like a prison in itself, that island, right? But there's interesting settlements, right? And because there were stationed Italian prisoners of war, right, in that place. So the tour guide, we have a nice explanation that will explain significance of it. And yeah, and that's so we're gonna be there for probably half a day in that as well. This is an ancient place called Skara Brae. So what's I know it's not that doesn't look that big or whatnot, but it's actually they did the research, right, and they estimated that this actually ancient site it's older than the pyramids. So like when you think it's like 4,000 years, right? Like this is mind blowing when you think about it, right? And it's right on the ocean. You can see the ocean behind it, right? So it's fantastic, site from a historical point of view that is so old, right? So they will explain, the significance of it and what was happening there. But again, it's older than the pyramid, so it was just incredible, right? To me. Speaking of old, they were gonna see a couple of those, like a few of those stones, in resemblance to a Stonehenge a little bit, right? But those are stones of stems that they call them. But actually, they did estimate again I don't know how to do those estimates, Diane. They just ship the rock, or how do they do this, right? Anyways, interesting fact is about the stones of Stan's, they actually estimated they are older than the Stonehenge, Diane, right? So it's incredible, right? As well, the history, on that island is just phenomenal, right? Not only from obviously they are so old, but also during the Second World War, right? There was a big significance of it. So it's quite interesting that they are older than Stonehenge. We're gonna visit the largest town in Orkney Islands, which is called Kirkwall. Okay, so it was settled by the Vikings actually. So it's very pretty. You can see a little bit different from the Isle of Skye, because Isle of Skye was more like different color houses and different structures. This is like all like stone, because there's nothing else. Like there was not too many trees, right, on that island, because it's so remote, Diane, right? It's like, so okay, what do we have? Like, well, we got stones. Like, well, let's make everything from stones, right? So that makes sense, but that's why it survived, right? Because it just, stone, obviously it's, survived longer than wood, let's say, right? Or any other material. So, but it's still, quite interesting town, not very big again, but it's, very picturesque. It's right on the water. So this is the largest town in Orkney, and we can have a nice little tour there as well. Then back to Thurso, back on mainland Scotland, after that excursion to Orkney. And we're going to actually visit the biggest castle in northern Scotland, right? It's like a fairy tale castle. I mean, look how beautiful those towers are. Almost looks like a Cinderella, right? If you go to Disney or some other places. Dunrobin Castle. So this is, so we can have a nice tour explaining, right, who lived there, how old it is. But it's stunning. It's right on the hill. So that, it's very, beautifully situated as well. You can see it from afar. So this is actually the biggest castle in the Northern Highlands of Scotland. Okay, so it's absolutely amazing. After that, we're gonna travel a bit more south, but we're still in the Highlands, right? And this is actually the capital of Highlands, which is Inverness. Okay, so this is one of the biggest towns there. It's right on the river. Very beautiful. Again, lots of history there as well. So we're gonna be there for one night. We're gonna have a nice little sightseeing that will give you free time as well to explore. While we are around that area, obviously Scotland is big, for castles and ruins and lochs and beautiful scenery. But we're actually gonna visit a local farmland, and we're gonna have an opportunity to see sheepdog at work. Right, so I think they call them collies, Diane, right? Those dogs, and they were gonna explain, and you see like how they work, how amazing those dogs, how smart they are, right? To bundle all those sheep together and put them right in behind the fence, right? Like, so it's quite interesting, and you can interact with the local farmers, and just if you have any questions, of course, you can ask them. And good thing when you go to Scotland, they speak English, well, sort of. Right? I mean, there's Gaelic, so obviously going to have a heavy accent, especially up north there, right? In the Highlands. I don't know if you've been there, Diane, or not, but I've been there twice, and sometimes like it's like, what was that? What was that? It was like listening to Sean Connery almost back in the day, right? Obviously, you get used to it after a while, right? But it's quite funny, right? It's quite interesting. Anyway, so this is going to be interesting visit, right, to a local farmland, and just to see how those collies work, right? In the local farm. And then from Inverness on to Edinburgh. And again, this is the capital, right? Absolutely stunning. Not only, this is one of my favorite cities. I mean, it's my favorite city in Scotland, but it's one of my favorite in Europe as well, because there's so much to do, so much to see, right? That's why we have 2 nights there. You can see at the back a little bit that Edinburgh Castle right on the hill, right? That amazing castle right on the, like, you can see the rocks, right? So it's absolutely stunning. And again, a lot of buildings, just like in the northern part of Scotland, it's not even a brick, it's from the stone, right? So the castle is a brick from the stone, so obviously survived all those centuries as well, right? And it's in very, very good condition. So we're gonna be there for 2 nights in the Scottish capital. Again, this is that amazing castle, right? Right on the hill, and we will visit it, right? Of course, we have a nice visit there included, so the local guides will explain the history behind it and what was happening, good and bad. course, because that's lots of always there's some mystery, right, in those castles. Always stuff what happened there. This is inside the castle as well. Then, like I said, you're gonna have a free time, right? And this is the Royal Mile. This is the famous street, Diane, right, in Edinburgh. So lots of shopping, beautiful restaurants and pub, of course, lots of pubs, right? Pub, left, right, center. So you gotta try local haggis, of course, and Scottish whiskey, right, and whatever else goes behind it. But again, look at it's stone everywhere, right? So you can see cobblestone streets, right? And all the buildings, right? It's all like stones, the castles, the churches, all the parliament buildings, everything, right? So it looks very medieval, right? But I love it. I loved it, right? I absolutely loved it. And that Royal Mile, that street, you don't see too many cars unless it's a delivery car. So it's more like a pedestrian street. So it's very great for walking, right? And shopping and whatnot, right? So you're gonna have lots of free time. And like I said at the beginning, when we have welcome dinner, we also gonna have farewell dinner, right? And this would be a more special one because you're gonna be able to a local place as well, and it's gonna be, you're gonna actually observe how they're gonna make it, right? So like more like an orientation, right? And obviously you're gonna be eating, very nice, local Scottish cuisine as well at it, right? So then you can, have a couple of drinks and laughs, right, with your fellow travelers and just reminiscent your beautiful Scottish tour in Edinburgh. So that's another view. This is from Calton Hill. You see this little tower on the left, right? And it's a beautiful, actually, I highly recommend if you have free time, go on this Calton Hill because you have a beautiful overview of whole Edinburgh and you can see the castle at the back there, right? So it's stunning views. I have some beautiful pictures when I was there last time. So highly recommend it. One thing with this tour, because people ask me, Diane, okay, well, this is great, but this is only like 8-9 day tour. What if I want to stay longer? Well, guess what? We have an opportunity, Diane, if people, let's say, maybe want to see London at the same time, right? So we're gonna take them from the Edinburgh to London, and then they're gonna be 3 nights in London, right? So we have a nice hotel, good location hotel, right? And this will be hosted. So hosted, what it means that there will be no tour. It's a different person. The tour manager stays in Edinburgh, but this will be another Colette host, right? That is gonna be just in London because they are more local. Okay. So that's what it means. So don't worry, you're not on your own. There will be still sightseeing included. You're going to give a lot of free time. And then, if you want to do this, then you can fly back home instead of Edinburgh. You're going to be flying back home from London back to Canada. Okay. But it's a nice thing. Like, what my take is, Tayat, like you're already in Europe. You're already there, right? If you have 3 extra days, and maybe you've never been to London, or maybe it's been a long time since you've been there. Like, I want to see how much has changed, right? Or, do shopping. Obviously, shopping is always great in London, right? Or you want to have a high tea, right, at Harrods, which is not cheap, but but obviously you got to do that, right? Why not, right? You're already there. Why not, right? What are the chances that you're gonna go back there anytime soon, right? So 3 beautiful days in London. Of course, this is a Parliament building, right? You can see the Big Ben on the right-hand side as well. This is across the Thames River. St. Paul's Cathedral, right? This is the second biggest cathedral after St. Peter's in the Vatican, right? Then we have a nice, walking tour to the, Borough Food Market, so lots of happening there. This is a covered market. So obviously you can see what people are buying there. This is a famous Tower of London Bridge, right? So you can cross it. There's so many bridges there, but this is the most famous one because it looks like two towers, right? But it's actually a bridge. So it's again lots of free time, and that's another nice view of the Tower Bridge, right, from the other side as well. So again, if you think you have extra 3 days, you haven't been to London or it's been a long time, why not, right? So we'll take you there and we fly you back from London. All right. So that concludes the part of the tour, and then I'm just gonna quickly talk about why travel with Colette if you never traveled with us before. So why travel with us? Like I said at the beginning, we've been doing this for 107 years. So hopefully by now, Diane, we know what we're doing. I mean, there's always room for improvement, but I think we're pretty good at what we're doing since last century. Perfected tour pacing. I talk about it at the beginning as well, right? The balance, right? So it's not too busy, not too slow, so people enjoy that it's just not that it's just good amount, right? Of everything while on a tour. We are very responsible when we travel. Doesn't matter if it's Scotland, Europe, Asia, Africa. We always, engage with local communities. That's why we try to visit, local restaurants. We try to visit local families, local farms, right? Whenever, possible, because we want to interact. This is what makes it. I mean, taking pictures of the castles and churches is great, but you want to also interact, right? So we're very responsible, and we always ask them, it's like, listen, we have a group of people that, would be okay to visit here or there, or talk to the local farmers, right? And such things. So we're very responsible when we do that. So when you travel with Colette, all the logistics are looked after, right? So the flights will be booked for you, the transfers, like I told you, at the airport, hotels, great hotels, transportation in between. So transportation in between the cities are going to be in a comfortable motor coach, right? Beautiful motor coach, European motor coaches, reclined seats, big panoramic windows, air conditioning. Not that you need it in Scotland, right? Air conditioning, but very comfortable. And then sightseeing programs with the local guides, right? And a lot of meals will be included as well. So all those logistics, are already looked after. To summarize, all those logistics, I like to use this. When you travel with Colette, it's a worry-free, hassle-free travel. So you just sit back, relax, and enjoy the journey. Okay. And let somebody else, worry about driving or or finding a hotel or or what to do, what to see. Okay. Insurance, very important, Diane, right? Whenever people travel, especially after COVID, I always recommend buy insurance, right? I'm not an insurance expert, but when you travel with Colette, we do offer this fully comprehensive insurance, right? So what it means that it includes medical coverage if something happens to you, right? On a tour, evacuation if something you need to come back, baggage loss, trip delay, interruption. So all those are standard, and this is included. However, one thing that a lot of insurance companies, Diane, don't include, and we do, is we call it no worries travel protection. So what it means that you can actually cancel your trip 24 hours before departure, no questions asked, and it's a full cash refund. So let's say you pay $5,000 on this trip for any reason. Could be a bad hair day reason, Diane. I'm not looking at your hair. I'm not looking at your hair, by the way. Could be maybe your cat or your dog gets sick, right? A couple of days before. It's like, oh, I cannot leave my pet down behind. Like, maybe you should cancel, right? Whatever reason. Doesn't have to be medical. You get the full cash refund. So it's not future voucher, Diane, like some companies do, as you know, or not percentage like some companies do, right? They might give 78%. 100%. If you pay 5,000, 5,000 goes back on your credit card within a few days, right? Minus the insurance cost, right? Mm-hmm. So the insurance cost, it's additional $599, but it covers you for all those things, okay? What's also good about this insurance, Diane, is there's no age limit. And again, I'm not looking at you, right? But this is the beautiful thing that doesn't matter if, you are 40 years old or 95 years old, it's the same price. Mm-hmm. And this is insane because, as you know, Diane, you've sold insurance to a lot of people, I'm sure, to a lot of guests. Once you hit 65, 70, the premium goes through the roof, goes up drastically, right? Because there's more reasons, that something can happen to you or you have pre-existing or whatever, right? With us, doesn't matter. Everybody is equal. Doesn't matter how old you are, it's the same price. Mm-hmm. And wait, I'm not done yet. Look at this. There's no medical questionnaire required. And this is insane because a lot of, as you know, Diane, you've been selling, travel for a long time, I'm sure. A lot of insurance companies, they required you, to fill out like 6 pages of medical questionnaire, right? Your history, your parents' history, your kids, your fish, your dog, whatever, right? With us, no medical questionnaire required, right? We don't care what happened, 2 years. We don't care, if you have the hip replacement done, 5 years ago, right? As long as you can walk for a couple of hours a day, right? Then you're approved already. You're going, right? So this is phenomenal, right? This whole insurance package, it's absolutely stunning because it's a peace of mind insurance, okay? And you don't have to worry about it, like, oh, should I go skiing maybe like a week before? What if I break my legs? Like, well, maybe not. Like, well, listen, I have this, right? No worry protection plan. I can cancel it, right? After 24 hours before. So this is amazing, right? And again, it's only $5.99 and it covers you for all those things, right? So this is phenomenal. Um, Another nice thing is, so if we have this group, so we're holding about 20 seats for this group with a chamber. What's great about it, if everybody is within the same area, so hopefully, where are you? You're in Fergus, right? Area. So if everybody is from there, we can agree on one pickup spot. So whatever the main, center, I don't know if you guys have Walmart or whatever there, right? I haven't been in a while. Anyways, so whatever the central point, or maybe in front of the chamber, I don't know, whatever, right? And we pick you up. So let's say we meet at the chamber or whatever we can meet, right? We agree on it, and we'll take you to the airport in Toronto. So this will be included. You don't have to worry about taxi, Ubers, asking your cousin to drive you. Okay. And then when the tour ends, we'll bring you back to Fergus. So this is already included. This is phenomenal, right? So that home pickup will be included. When you travel with us for the first time, you automatically enrolled into our Passport Club. This is our loyalty program. Okay, so what it means that if you travel with us in the future, you get additional discount. All right. So if you travel with us, within the next 2 years, you get 5% off. Right. If you travel within 3 years, you get 3% off. And then if you're complete maybe 3 or more tours with us, you get additional bonus of $100 towards extension. So extension will be like that London extension to that Scottish tour. That's an extension. So you could use it towards that extension. Make sense? So the more you travel, the more discount it is. Okay. Also, when you travel with us, we have this amazing app on a smartphone. It's called Colette Compass app. So what it does for you, about 45 days before departure, Diane, as your travel agent, will give you a booking number, right? Once you have this free app on your phone, you just put the booking number in the right slot, click submit, and it will populate this itinerary on your phone. Day by day itinerary, all the sightseeing and everything, hotels information, right? Even the maps of each city will be downloaded, right? So like Edinburgh, Glasgow, Inverness, all the maps will be already, it's like a little mini guidebook on your phone, Diane. This is phenomenal. And the best part about this app is that there is no Wi-Fi and no data required because it's already preloaded ahead of time, right? So it doesn't matter where you are in Scotland, you can always access this little app, right? And all the maps, and it's like, oh, maybe you lost, like, oh, where's my hotel? It's like, oh, I know where my hotel is. Like, okay, this is where I'm going, right? So this is amazing. Now people ask me, Hector, what if I don't have a smartphone? What now? Like, I know most people have it, but not everybody. For example, my parents, Diane, don't have a smartphone. They still have this flip phone, Samsung, the old one, right? Because they don't believe in that classy, sliding thing, right? With the touch thing. They want the buttons to press, right? And they don't need the fancy internets and Facebook. They don't have this, right? Anyway, so if you don't have a smartphone, it's okay. You know why? Just look at this. We still have printed documents, Diane. And this is incredible. As a travel agent, Diane, you know it. 99% of companies don't even print documents anymore. Tour operators, ocean cruises, nobody prints it anymore, right? They just send you the link and you have to print it, right? At home. You have to use your own paper and ink, right? And everything. With us, we still print documents, which is phenomenal, right? So we print them about 3 weeks before departure and we send it to your home. So, when you get actually to your mail, you get actually excited. It's like Christmas. Oh, something in the mail. Except, now, you don't get excited because you just get the bills probably and flyers in the mail. But you get this nice, handsome package, right? And you get excited 3 weeks before departure. You quickly open it and start reading this nice little booklet with all the information, right? Helpful hints and tips, right? So people love this, right? So we also include, the name tag, you have the luggage tag, and it all comes in this nice little wallet, You can see on the bottom, right? The zip up wallet, and it's all soft. I keep this wallet now. I have it somewhere here. All my cables, I keep them there because that's all organized, right? And it's soft, so you can put it, somewhere, right, and store it. So this is what everybody gets. So this is phenomenal, right? People love it. So this is the flyer that I don't know if Diane already you've shared this with your potential clients or not, right? So there's a link, obviously, that you can send it to them, right? So this is a 4-page flyer explaining more about this tour and the pricing and everything else. So again, this is and this is the correct date here, Brock, 2026. Yeah, we don't want to go this year. It's for next year. This year's already sold out anyways. And if you book by a certain date, there's $300 off. Just as FYI, that's an early booking bonus, right? So don't wait too long. And for more information, you can see on the bottom, Diane Cook is your travel agent. There's Diane's phone number or her email, right? And I'm sure Diane will be able to share it with everybody. So the good news is we are holding space, like I told you at the beginning, but it's only 20 seats, right? The whole group, it's 44 passengers, right? So we're holding roughly half of the whole group, right? Just for our chamber. So if we get 20 seats, sold from Fergus, that's great because half of the bus will be us, right? Just from Fergus, right? So this is good. First come, first serve, right? So if you want to sleep on it, absolutely, but just don't wait maybe for 3-4 months because I know Diane, had already some inquiries, right? And Brock as well. So there might not be, much space left, if you wait for a few months there. Also, I'm not sure if there's any single clients or solo travelers that don't have a companion. Single rooms are limited, just FYI. Okay, so there's only a few single rooms available per departure because most of the hotels, most of the rooms, Diane, as you know, it's double rooms, right, for 2 people. So there's, if you know for sure, Diane, that there's no solo traveler, I would say grab the space now if it's still available. Because if you're gonna wait, again, there's only a few single rooms available per departure. Okay, so first come, first serve. Okay, so yeah, so if you're interested, call Diane. Again, her number is right here on the screen, right? Or email her, and she will give you more information. She can send you this flyer again, so you can see, terms and condition and all the details and how much it is, as well. And what else do I have? Okay. Oh, this is good. Helpful tips. I always like to include this little slide here just to get you excited as well. So of course, when you travel, you need a valid passport. And we always recommend, Diane, you probably know that too, passport to be valid 6 more months after your trip, just in case, you have to be stuck there, right? And, something happens and you have to be there. And, if your passport expires a week after, then you're going to be panicking, right? For whatever reason. So we always, just to be safe, 6 months after. I also like to take a photocopy of my passport, Diane, or take a picture on your phone, right? Because then, if something happens, maybe you lose your passport, knock on wood, hopefully not, but, it's easier to go to the embassy. It's like, oh, this was my passport number for my old, right? So it's easier to retrieve information and everything, right? So that's what I do. There's no visa for Canadians to Scotland. However, there's a new ETA permit. ETA stands for Electronic Tourist Authorization, something like that, right? And it was just implemented a couple of months ago, Diane. Actually, I'm going to England in July with my family, and I actually just did this one, right? So it's easy. This is not a visa. You need to apply this online or on the phone. On the phone, there's an app on the phone. Takes maybe 5 minutes, right? So not very long. And it cost, I think it was 15 pounds. So you're looking at maybe $25, right? So it's not as expensive as some visas, they're over $100, Diane. So it's not very expensive, but everybody needs it, arriving to UK, right, as of this year. So next year, I'm sure that will be the same deal. And again, if you're not sure, Diane probably can send you the link, right, and whatnot. So again, you can do this on the phone. There's an app, or you can do this on the computer. Okay, so it's called ETA. Voltage in Europe, as we all know, it's double what we have here in North America, right? So it's 220 volts. And you can see that plug. You can see the picture on the right hand corner, right? This is type G. like golf, right? So it's like the three-prong, right? Different from ours. So you need to have this adapter, right? If you want to charge your phone or laptop, whatever you're bringing, right? Camera, right? So this is how it looks. So I always like to include this. Money, Scotland is part of UK, so it's British pound. Okay. But I also like to bring debit card and a credit card with me as well. Okay, just for emergency. So if you want to take local money, right, from the debit card, there's bank machines everywhere. Vaccinations, not required, but I always recommend, people to have hepatitis A and B. If you combine those two, maybe you've heard of this, Diane, it's called Twinrix.
Yes.
Twinrix, right? So check with your family doctor, right? It's always good to have when you travel. It helps, when you eating obviously different foods and drinking different water, right? So your stomach is not as sensitive, right? So it's always good to have it. And the good thing about this Twinrix is that once you have 2 shots, you're good for life for this Twinrix, right? So I always, recommend people have this. Tipping, so tipping is not included because it's to your discretion. But when you get these documents, that little pamphlet that I was telling you, you can read it, and we put it there, suggestive amount, right? How much you can tip your tour guides and the bus driver and so on. So you can budget yourself ahead of time. What to bring: comfortable shoes, hat. I mentioned windbreaker, right? Especially when you're on the coast, right? Any British Isles, doesn't matter time of the year, it's always going to be windy, could be raining, right? Doesn't matter if you go in April or July, it's all, I don't know, unpredictable, right? The weather in the British Isles. Baggage handling and luggage size. This is important to talk about. So baggage handling will be included. So what it means, when we arrive at the hotel, the tour manager will tell you, okay, you can get out here, leave your big suitcase underneath, right? Because it will be transported by the hotel staff and brought to your hotel room. You don't have to worry about it. You just take your little carry-on, okay, with you. Speaking of that, speaking of the luggage size, this is very important, Diane, because people don't realize, if they haven't been on a motor coach tour before, that it's a little bit different. So what I mean by this, you see the big suitcase and the little suitcase, right? They're both wheelie suitcases, Diane. So the big one, not a problem. Everybody's allowed to bring one, right? Because the handling will be included for one, right? With the wheelie one, and they're gonna stow it, underneath the coach. The second one, however, is a little bit tricky, Diane. A lot of people, when they travel, it's like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna bring this small wheelie one, right? Okay, and here's the situation. When you travel on the plane, right? The overhead compartment on the plane is, okay, it cannot fit here, but it's pretty big, right? So this suitcase will fit. However, when you go on a motor coach tour, guided tour, guess what? That overhead compartment is maybe only this big. So what I mean by that little suitcase is not gonna fit there. And no, there's no space under the front seat, because those chairs are not equipped for those storage, right? And underneath, you already have 44 suitcases, big ones. So there might be no space for that. So my recommendation is, instead of that one, just bring a backpack, right? Because it's softer, right? I always bring my backpack with me. And, so you can put it easily in the overhead compartment on the bus, right? Because it's soft, right? And it's not as bulky. And also when you do the sightseeing tours, right? When you visit those castles, so when you go, to a local farm, whatever, you can put, your umbrella, your water, right, your camera in it, and you still have free hands, right, to worry about it. And by the way, Diane, that backpack doesn't have to be yellow.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a blue one myself, but I just thought, I'm just gonna put it here so you can visualize. So that's what I recommend. So leave that, really, carry on at home. Again, it's great maybe if you go on the ocean cruise because it's bigger. But again, when you travel by motor coach, it's much smaller than the ocean cruise or the airplane. Make sense?
Yeah.
So I just wanted you to visualize it, right? That obviously people are disappointed because nobody told them, right? All right. So that's that. And this is my last slide. How am I doing with time? Okay, so it was more than 40 minutes, but that's okay. So thank you. That's another shot of Isle of Skye. Beautiful. Like I said, I started with a quote. I'm going to finish with a quote. And this is one of my favorite quotes. Maybe Diane, maybe you've heard of this before. I've heard this, I think, like over 30 years ago, and I'm still using it to this day on all my presentations. And it goes like, the world is a book, and those who do not travel is only one page, right? So it's a very famous quote. I'm not sure who wrote it, but it's not mine. Obviously, it's in the quotation marks. But anyway, so this concludes, this nice presentation on Scotland and why travel with Colette. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Do we have any questions, Diane?
Oh, thank you, Hector. That was just fantastic. And you really did such a good job laying out the tour and the highlights of what we're going to see. And I can tell you, for the past 42 years that I've been selling travel, there is a reason I like to work with Colette Vacations. Really, everything is included and so well done. And as Hector was talking about the insurance, the Colette insurance is truly phenomenal. Anytime I have a client with Colette, I don't even suggest anything else because it doesn't matter your age, pre-existing, there is no medical questionnaire. It is so simple. So if you are perhaps 65, 70, or you're thinking I'm in the ages where I can't travel because of the insurance cost, this is the way to do it, honestly. So we would love to have you join us in Scotland for sure. And now I don't have any questions in the chat. And if you have a question, you can unmute yourself and ask away while you've got us all here together. If you're not comfortable to do that, of course, you can send me an email. Or if you want to type, you can put it in the chat right now and we can ask Hector while we've got him. Let me just see. Is there anything, Brock or Gracie, that you can think of that might be a question somebody is thinking of?
Not off the top of my head. It was nice to see the map. So that
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, because you can quickly, and again, I like maps, and I know Diane likes maps too, right? So it's a quick overview, right? To
Yes.
see, where we going, what we doing, where we stopping, right?
Exactly.
So because again, I'm a visual creature, right? So people can tell me, I was like, no, I need a map, but then I can quickly, oh, we go north, we go here, we do this, right?
Yeah.
But anyway,
I love that the Orkney Islands are included because, and I mean, so many people when we're traveling, maybe we don't want the tchotchkes, but when you're in Scotland, you're looking for some wool. And whether you're buying something already made or if you were a knitter, whatever, and you're looking for wool to bring back with you, this is where you're going to get it. And the Orkney Islands are just so unique. I don't know if you watch Shetland or those shows on TV where they're in those remote island, around Scotland, and it is just so rugged and so remote. It is just breathtaking, and to be able to be there where so few people will ever go, so these are bragging rights you come back with for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, so this will conclude our presentation. And if you do have any questions, and I know Diane will follow up as well with people maybe they couldn't make it today, right? Send them this PowerPoint because we did record it, Brock recorded this presentation, so they can watch it at their free time whenever they feel like it. And any questions, Diane will be able to help you. If she doesn't know the questions, she will call Colette and they will be obviously able to assist her as well. So on this note, I'd like to say thank you, happy travels. And again, it's a great destination. I've been there twice. And like I said, Edinburgh is one of my favorite cities in Europe. Just, like so much to do, so much to see, so much history. The food is phenomenal, very friendly people, right? And that castle is one of my favorite castles as well, because it's right on the hill and it's massive, massive castle, right? And so well preserved. So thank you so much. Enjoy your evening and happy travels, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hector.
Okay.
Thanks, Diane.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, everyone.